For the people in the house, how we doing today?
Good.
Great.
We are gonna this is the Poetry Room Live, and we are gonna be rocking a live show tonight. I am gonna have everybody just mute themselves. This is the rules of this game. We all shut the fuck up when somebody else is on here. We can't do rewind this month, but we can put in the chats what we like. We're gonna support everybody here. Everybody gets one poem or one song. Please don't go over 5 minutes. If your poem is more than 5 minutes, it probably really sucks and it just needs more work. And that's okay. But we love you either way. And tonight, we got Brenna Twohy with us, and I'm gonna have her announce the first person.
Amazing. So happy to be here. Thank you all for having me into your homes and your ears. So excited to hear from so many folks tonight. Give it up first for Rose Cooper.
Woo!
Hey guys. Like you said, my name is Rose Jangmi Cooper, and I'm just gonna start with this new piece. It's a new quarantine piece called Jazz Hands. What I think I noticed most is the quiet. It really creeps up on you. 30 years of living on a busy street, you get, so when you can hear your own self think again, it feels wrong. It feels like September 11th when I noticed I didn't hear airplanes and I lived right down the street from the airport. It feels like the time I got smacked in my face because somebody out there lied on me and I was never given a chance to defend myself against the evil out there. It feels like the time when my heart was broken again and I swore off other people for life. It feels like the penance you pay for declaring yourself a hermit when you live in the first world. But let me just say that that's the lie we keep telling ourselves. We became a second-rate country after 2016 when we released the Kraken and let him invade the White House. See, I'm struggling to fend off depression, struggling to not lose my joy, though really I thought it was already gone. I'm struggling to find my song, my expression. I don't know if anyone hears it anymore. I never hear it anymore. I hate the snow for keeping me in. I hate the cold for keeping me in. I hate the fear for keeping me in, but I'm grateful to the snow for keeping me in, to the cold, to the fear for keeping me in. And I don't know what I'll do that eventual warm, sunny day when my bike cries out for me to go for a ride. I believe we should shelter in place. I do, I really do, but I miss the outside. I miss that first bite of a strange matter cookie bomb donut. I miss seeing people wave and laugh and dance as I go by. I miss Kevin asking me if we could go get some outside ice cream. I miss riding by Lugnut Stadium and wondering if they could hear me. I miss rolling downtown knowing that they could. I miss the taste of Calbee at Charlie Kong's and caramel cashew ice cream at Quality Dairy and popcorn samples at Cravings and whitefish dip at Henry's Place and every other place I once took for granted. I miss the gentrification that made Old Town come alive again. I miss the below the snack. I miss the below the stacks murals that sang to me. I miss the Robin Theater. I miss Sparty. I miss Michigan Avenue. I miss Spandau. I miss Winking, Blinking, and Nod. Well, most of all, I miss my grandsons. I cry every night for them. I hate that they only live 5 minutes away from me, but it feels like they're a world away. They'll forget me soon. But I'm saved when I hear my husband waking up again. I'm saved when Zoom lets me see and hear and talk to other people. I'm saved when I look out my window and see people walking down the street again. I think they know something I don't. So I throw out my jazz hands to let them know I'm still here. Yeah, I suck at long distance relationships. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Wow. Wow.
You made me really miss being outside, Rose. On deck, we're gonna have Ephraim, and next we got somebody who's super special to me because we grew up together, and the first time we wrote poems was in 4th grade, and he was super good at it, and I just rhymed silly words, and he became a book editor at Penguin Random House, and I just host an open mic.
So too modest, Masaki. Yeah.
Hello?
Coming together tonight and listening. I'm going to read a short piece I wrote most recently that was published, and I hopefully you enjoy it. So it's called Burma Shave. What if we hadn't been born at the same time? If I were 8 and you were 79, would I come visit you and bring you cookies in the old folks' home? Would you smell like mothballs and put plastic over your couch and tell me stories in short sentences and monosyllabic words so I can understand you? Would I listen at all? Or would I dangle my legs over the edge of the couch, inches above the floor, leaving specks of dirt on the linoleum while I count the minutes until I could go back home? And if you kissed me on the cheek, leaving a Pepto-Bismol pink lip smack on my pale porcelain skin, would I wipe it off? Or would I leave it there until I went to bed and let my pillowcase smear with pink? What if I were 64 and you were 16? Would I smell of Burma shave and patchouli and talcum powder on our first date? Would the waiter look at us funny if we dined at the Minetta Tavern, eating steak frite and escargot as we share a bottle of Burgundy? Or would you prefer a cheeseburger? And if I invited you back to my apartment in the village, would you come? Would you let me undress you and drag the tips of my fingers across your breasts, tracing the shadows of your silhouette down the curvature of your spine? And if I kissed the nape of your neck with little hairs on your arms and neck stand up? And if I pressed my cracked lips upon yours, would my kisses get stuck in your braces like toffee in a kitten's teeth? Or would they roll backwards down your tongue like satin? What if I were 10 and you were 12? Would we sit in the corner of the cafeteria, alone but together, eating sandwiches on Wonder Bread with the crust cut off? And after school, would we run away together and build a house in the woods out of dead branches and mud, even though we know it'll never last? Would we make it at home in time for supper? Would our mothers worry? You know how my mother worries. Would your father even care? Or would he be too drunk to stand? Would I be there to open the screen door and see him slouch in the lazy boy, the orange shag carpet littered with crumpled Coors cans? Would I help you shake him awake and together we'd carry him up the stairs? Or would we just slip past him and make our way to the bedroom where I'd hold you and rock you back and forth like a child to help hold back the tears that I know are coming? Would my mother worry why I'm late for supper? Or would I just say goodbye at the screen the next day at school while we ate sandwiches? What if I were born a woman and you were born a man? If you left the toilet seat up, would I get angry with you? Would you ask me where I wanted to eat? And I would say, I don't care. So we just end up at that Italian joint on Elizabeth Street like we always do. And when the waiter brings me eggplant parmesan, would I secretly be craving greasy Chinese food from the spot on Doyers? Would we one day leave the city and buy a split level ranch and Dobbs ferries for the kids to run around? Would you send me flowers just because? Would I have a chicken roasting in the oven for you when you came home from work? And when you ride the Metro North into Grand Central every morning and read the daily paper on the train, or would you look at other women while I'm at home looking at the children? Would you wonder what life might be like with her instead of me? What if I were born in the Renaissance and you were born in the Belle Epoque? Would I winnow cold Italian marble from a slab to make a bust of a woman's face I saw in a dream? Would I be a poor man whose work was never fully recognized by the public in his lifetime, only to be appreciated years after my death? And would you go to a French museum one day in the fall of 1901 and look into the face of a woman with marble eyes and recognize the uncanny resemblance? Would the tiny hairs on your arms stand up? Or would you even notice at all? What if we were born strangers from different lands, separated by oceans and time, but connected under the same umbrella of stars? If I were born in Mumbai and you in Dubrovnik, and one day by chance, we found ourselves walking opposite directions on Bleecker Street, would our shoulders brush past each other just close enough that you'd be able to smell the patchouli on me as I pass? Would you even look back, or would you just keep walking? And when I went back home to India, would I look up into the clear night sky and wonder whether the woman with Pepto-Bismol pink lipstick can see how beautiful the stars look tonight? Or would I forget her face before boarding the plane? And what if we were both born men in 1946? Would we meet each other in dark bars and share drunken kisses under the canopy of a phone booth? Would our mothers worry why it's 1972 and we're both single? Would our fathers care enough to love us like the other fathers love their sons if they ever found out? Or would they disown us? Would we give up in 1976 and marry women just to fit in? And would we go through with our wives and move to Westchester in the early 80s and watch our children grow old? Would the motions become so regular that it became the norm and we forgot what it was like to be in love and to be happy, genuinely happy? Or would we make some unspoken agreement to bury the past like a dog does his bone? And even though we swore to never look at each other, no longer to see each other ever again, would I ever be able to forget your face or the way your mouth tastes in the morning? Or would I carry a picture of you in my wallet, hidden between two business cards like some hardened stick of bubblegum and a pack of Topps baseball cards? Would I be out to dinner one night in the Minetta Tavern with my wife while my kids are back home in Dobbs Ferry with the babysitter, and sneak off to the bathroom and hold your picture in the stall, wishing that when I came back to the table, it would be you and not her waiting to cheers my glass of Burgundy? And when I sit back down and she kisses me, would I wish it were you there across from me with your mouth wide open? Or would I forget your name and your face and the way your kisses taste? Or would we wait? Would I know that one day when we're both bald and wrinkled in 2026, we'll end up in the old folks' home, and once the lights go down, we'll dig up that bone from the backyard of our life and swap Burma shaped kisses in the dark on the safety of our plastic covered couch? And what if I hadn't been born at all, and I were just some face living in your dreams, appearing year after year, chasing after you as you grew old? Would I be there when you're 12 and your father is passed out drunk and your mother's too depressed to watch over you and your brothers and your sisters, so you become the matriarch of the family, and the only thing keeping you going is a man's face you see in a dream? Would I be there when you're 16, kissing your metal mouth every night once you fall asleep? Would I be there in 1984 as you share a bed with the body of a woman who will never know you only love her half as much as you ever say you do? And would I be there when you're 79, when all your friends have become strangers to you and everyone you've ever loved is buried and gone? And when you lay alone on your deathbed in the stillness of your bedroom in the old folks' home and feel a cool breeze running over your dying bones, and the hair on your back and your neck starts to stand up, would you know it was me? That's it.
Yes.
All right. On deck we have, is it B or Bay? B. Yeah. Okay, cool. But everybody give it up for Ephraim.
What's good?
Yes.
I'm gonna just do the poem part. I love my mama, and my mama loves God. In our house, it wasn't no curses, just Bible verses we recite like daily affirmations. Mama's saved and sanctified since 11. Say happy Resurrection Sunday, because Easter low-key blasphemy. My mama's interlaced fingers are two tambourines banging to a rhythm you can only play if you have arm fat and attended 525-second services. Raised Church of God in Christ denomination. Gospel praise echoes with the sunrise. TV stay on TBN, and every 31st we pray the new year in. My mama pray, y'all. The first healthcare plan I knew was her clasped hands and bended knee. Can I testify how my older brother diagnosed out the womb with Hirschsprung's, mortality rate of 80%, that was even higher in the 80s. My mama prayed till the survival came to pass. Can I testify how my sister got so sick we actually went to the doctor? Hospital delivered the verdict of Crohn's disease. Supposedly, there was no known cure, but my mama's God don't understand the words no and cure put together. She prayed so hard, they couldn't find a trace of it in her body. Can I testify how in 2015, I get T-boned, flipped over, and collide with the truck. Scratch on my body. Come on, you can't tell me my mama ain't got God on speed dial. Whenever she prays, I can feel the anointing oil pressed on my forehead again. Hear a thunderous hallelujah dancing on a Holy Ghost inspired tongue. I'm in the middle of taking the finest communion. Not that saltine with fancy, unidentifiable wafers pre-attached to the cup with juice so good it might actually be the blood of Christ. My mama prays, y'all. And I done backslid so much my spirit be moonwalking. She don't think I'm saved enough, that my palms don't worship too much. And whenever I question the religion that raised my mama, I remember I've never met anyone more spiritual than her. I've seen her faith make impossible a reality too much to doubt it. Mama taught me, train a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. And no matter how far I stray from her faith, she still sends up voicemails to heaven, and prayer is a Christian's mama's sincerest way of saying I love you, even when it's filled with judgment. It's a love I've grown to appreciate, to hold on to and cherish warmly in the palm of my heart. Thank you.
Woo! Yes,
Always fire with you.
Goodness, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you so much, Ephraim.
Thank you so much for having me.
Who's that? All right, so on deck is gonna be me, and next we got somebody who's super dope and special to me. One of my favorite musicians. Let's give it up for Bea.
Hi guys. You can hear me, right? Can you hear my guitar? Okay, cool.
Yep.
This song, I wrote it for, I was seeing this songwriter guy, and he, I thought it was going to be like this really cool, like amazing relationship where we'd like write songs for each other. And I told him to write me a song, and he wouldn't write me a song, and I was just like, well, that's fucked up. But if you want something done right, all right, you got to do it yourself. So I wrote this song from him to me. It's called Days.
We're going down fast. I feel
So good.
I was straight vibing that whole time.
Thank you.
Incredible. So
I felt
beautiful.
too.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would totally write a song for you. Fuck that guy.
Let's do it.
Getting what you deserve. You deserve songs written for you. Just real quick before we have the next poet on the mic, if everybody can double check, make sure that when you came in, your audio got muted. Just sometimes the background noise is a little much. So on deck we have Emily, but everybody give it up right now for Masaki.
Woo, all right for me.
Hey.
All right, cool. So, when I was a kid, I was the last person with an iPod because I wanted to keep my CD player. I don't know how many of you loved your CD player, a portable CD player. So when I would buy pants, I would have to go with the pants that I was going to wear and then bring my CD player. I had to bring my CD player to buy pants to make sure it fit, or I would not buy them. And it would imprint on my pants. And for the longest time, I didn't have one, but when I had like one of those iPhone headphones, and I put it into my CD player, and my friend said to me one day, "Oh, you finally got an iPod?" I said, "No," and I pulled out my CD player because he saw the white headphones. When I was 15, I was an insecure boy who had too much to prove because no one was listening, always frustrated with my clothes, embarrassed I couldn't afford outfits that cost more than my self-worth. So I got in trouble for bare-knuckle boxing when someone looked at me the wrong way. My aunt got sick of me, kicked me out of her house. Before I left, my cousin had scrounged up enough money to pay for all of my sins, handed me a CD from Sam Goody, and here, Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death would forever wash away the fact Limp Bizkit was the first CD I ever bought. When you lose everything, you will learn what was truly important. Away from home, away from friends, you appreciate all that you have. It may not be trendy, but those who give you the shirt off their back provide the most stunning outfits. This was life after death. Big's voice spoke deeply within his chest. He was branded ugly, but however, he stayed Coogee down to the socks, rings and watch, filled with rocks. While I wore my insecurities like sewing tigers on my shirts and alligators. You want to see the inside? Huh, I see you later. I tried faking the funk and it smelled like it, trying to fit in all the time while being called ugly and poor. I smiled and still worshiped them, skipped lunch and went hungry so I have enough money for a Limp Bizkit CD, asked for Jinko jeans, wallet chains, and bleach frosted tips. Thank goodness for my family's financial issues. Life After Death was exactly as it was titled. The music was a backdrop. The message was a forefront. The beatings was a backdrop. The survival was a forefront. Our heads nodded to agree. Sky is the limit. And you know that. You keep on pressing on. Big was indeed beautiful before Brooklyn was gentrified. Big taught me the gods move at their own pace. They never dance around the truth, but rather they sway to it. A year after I got kicked out of my aunt's home, I made a return where I learned to write and speak for my own. Dressed in my Sean John hoodie armor, I never heard Limp Bizkit again, though it was blaring everywhere. I was never captivated again by skewed standards. No Abercrombie and Fish girl would ever catch my attention. Rather, I was just too busy, ensnared by the flows and snares. Now I got a story to tell. I was fighting a new fight. My confidence never quite reached that Coogee down to the socks, but I was now always the graffiti on the wall. I wore that proudly. You can now check my tags. I play nothing but 90s hip-hop in my car. My friends tell me I need to listen to something new. They call it old school, but I could swear it still happens today. And I will not change the music because my son wears his prayer bracelet to school, believes every outfit grandma gets him is fly. He always tells me that music today is whack. I tell him at least his first album will never be Limp Bizkit. I hear what he is saying. Before he gets out of the car, I tell him I love him for who he is, and life after death is him being Coogee down to the socks, rings and watch filled with rocks. Whew. Thank you very much.
Wow.
On deck, we're gonna have Morgan, Madden, and next we got Emily.
Hello. Masaki, I see you putting the Asians next to each other. I see that. Fuck you, Masaki. Okay, I actually go by Emdash poetically, so that's a thing. Okay, this is new shit.
New shit.
Thanks, I missed that. It's called I Think You Should Date a Slut. I don't know who's laughing, but I appreciate that. I think you should date a slut. Date the whore who has pressed her heart against the multitude of hearts without question marks. Date the hussy that has let greedy hands grab her hips more times than she would like to admit. Date the bitch who had her eyes take her in as parts instead of as wholly. Date the vixen who has heard different voices use "you're beautiful" as a key to open her. Date the floozy that many drunken spit on and spit out. Date the tramp that tells you she prefers it paired with "I love you" but has taken the free drink instead. Date the harlot who tried to cut out her own tongue after many tongues were stuck into her. Date the loose woman who tested positive and felt the need to text her past partners about it. Date the impure girl who started believing there was only one way to let people inside her. The one who knows she never needed to be pure, only purely her. Date the hoe who's scared people don't want to know her, they just want to sleep with her. Date the tart who wants to fall in a translucent kind of love again and again and again. Date the seductress who wielded heartache like a sword and shield, who never needed a knight. She just needed someone who could coax her to put down her weapons every now and then. Date the skank who sometimes likes it rough, likes it tied up, likes it softly, sweetly, slowly, likes it to music, likes it with eye contact, likes it biting, likes it with clasped hands, likes it with the lights on or off, likes it kisses down her stomach. Date the badass who is comfortable enough with you to talk about the beautiful and not so beautiful parts of her sexuality. Date the woman who knows she's not your person, who eternally values consent. Date the heart who is tired of the expectation imposed on female bodies to be sexy, not sexual. Date the beauty who had silenced his teacher that as the correct Chinese Christian wife doesn't sleep with anyone until marriage, and if she does, she's a failure. Date the lady that thanks queerness for teaching her that she doesn't need to follow any script. Date the catch who knows the virgin whore dichotomy only exists because of patriarchal, misogynistic, colonial beliefs that became the norm. If my sexual choices make you feel less than, weak, or emasculated, that's on you. Date the smirk who is into girls and guys because what is a body but a heart playing dress up? Date the name that awakens all your sacred, scared, hibernating butterflies. Date the laugh who really, really likes you and who you really, really like. Date the maybe who cheated but doesn't want to cheat anymore. Date the somebody who wants to be better, not just for you, but for herself. Date the someone that waits for you to fall asleep on the phone every night before hanging up. Date the smile who tells you all of this and more. This is not a poem about me becoming a pure girl or a moral woman. This is a poem reminding you that being a slut is not bad. It was a good that was misunderstood. This is more than a poem about me, about my past, about why you should date me. This is a reminder that we should all fall in love with sluts. Thank you.
Fuck yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks.
Ready to give it up.
Beautiful. Yes. Oh my goodness.
On deck we have Elizabeth, but everybody give it up now for Morgan.
So this is something new. It's called Learning to Breathe. In. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. For another 5. This is counting. I used to be able to things beyond an abacus or a calculator. There was you, looming in the distance like a lurking equation, barely holding my time and space together. You, old friend, were heavy, like an anchor keeping me weighted down. a stitch in the fabric of my reality. You took my breath away. I can remember vividly how we first met. When you stole away my heart and have yet to give it back intact. You were the void in which the stars shone their brightest hues of twinkling yellows and whites. But give me back all those sleepless nights in which you kept me up, grappling with the gravity of your truths. You beat me every damn time, confined me in a box, shoved in some forgotten corner of some abandoned place somewhere. And though you were by my side through all of it, I never felt more alone. With every breath I took, it felt like your claws were sinking deeper into my soul. Your shadow was enough to scare me into silence, plotting an escape into space where no one can hear you scream. But wait, do you hear that? It's nothing. That's what you gave me. Or at least by my calculations, that's what it comes out to. I'm certainly no mathematician, but I've got all the receipts for the debts accrued, the supernovas you burnt out, the black holes eating the galaxies around which I orbited. How do you memorialize the stardust which slips through your fingertips? So now that solar system I once sought to explore has lost its allure, and I still see those stars burning bright, not knowing which are there and which are an illusion. You thought you'd be there forever too. I thought so. But there are some realities which are inescapable, and life is one of them. I'm glad to see it through here without you. Learning to count came a long time ago, but only now am I finally learning to breathe again. Thank you.
Ow, ow! Thank you so much, Morgan. On deck, we're gonna have Dylan Rogers. Next, we got Elizabeth.
Hello, everybody. I'm Elizabeth. I'm new around here, but I am already loving you guys, and I am already just blown away by just everything you guys have been putting out. It's crazy. So this is a poem called Burn, and it's about what it's like to have a chronic illness. So here is Burn. Saying that I am in a flare is strange. I am not a fire today, a force to be reckoned with, bright, frightening, beautiful. I am what remains after the bonfire gets put out for the night and the morning and the afternoon and the evening and forever, though sometimes I hallucinate a remnant of warmth within these ashes. But as soon as I reach out to grab it before it runs away, it turns to ice under grasping fingers. Saying I'm in a flare shouldn't mean emailing your teachers, saying your body won't let you learn, won't let you burn. You don't have permission to go out and play today. Sorry, friends, my body says you can't see me. I need to carry out penance for existence. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm on fire is what it should mean. Body and soul finally agreeing on something, a bush burning, never dying, never drying out, never ending, always there and 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 there, and my body is in a flare. I am coiled to a shell with gunpowder that has been exposed to water, extinguishing the fire before it even begins. I am expecting that I will burn. I'm trapped in soul-consuming darkness, fearing the bears. I will be light to those who want to know how it feels to hold fire in their hands. I want to be fire in their hands. I am waiting, never realizing that I have been packed in a dud that will be tossed away in favor of those that light. Thank you.
Wow.
That was
Nice.
that was fire.
God. Good job.
Elizabeth coming with the good glasses and the good poems.
Thank you.
On deck, y'all, we have Juliette, but right now give it up for Dylan.
Woo!
Hey, everybody. Can
Hey.
you hear me okay? Good, you're all
Yes.
muted. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, so everyone's been wonderful. So I'm sitting here in the Robin, and I'm seeing everybody's beautiful faces on those digital backdrops, and it makes my heart sing. And Masaki, Brenna, you're doing a great job. Everyone's doing wonderful, and it's so great to see all of you. So thank you all for being here. I was going to ask whether I should do an original or an old classic, but I'm just going to do the original. This is a tune from a recent project I've been working on called Super Secret Cult Band. And it's a bit of a love letter to Lansing. It's a spooky time if you're out walking the dog and the streets are a little more dead than usual. And so we're going to kind of walk around Lansing a little bit and imagine a haunted town. Well, I think it's time that we embrace the grind of this dirty old town that we all love to despise. And if we change our tune and learn to love the glue, we can make a Midwest Mecca for the Madden macabre. We can have a haunted town. A haunted town. We can have a haunted town. A haunted town. Behind the Sundance Chevrolet, we'll build a demonic gateway. And every quality dairy will carry all your potion-making needs. We'll have a ritual committee, a Transylvanian sister city. Craft beer, more like witchcraft beer. It's the only kind that we have here. It's a haunted town. A haunted town. And it's a haunted town. A haunted town. A ghost in every attic. A cauldron in every shed. It's a great place to raise a family from the dead. We're gonna paint the Capitol black and turn the state bird into a bat. Mandatory classes on the power of the Zodiac. 'Cause it's a haunted town. A haunted town. And it's a haunted town. A haunted town. Ready for the big break? Ba-da-dee-da-dee-dee-da-dee-da-da. Haunted town. Ba-da-dee-da-dee-dee-da-dee-da-da. Haunted town. Ba-da-dee-da-dee-dee-da-dee-da-da. Haunted town. Ba-da-dee-da-dee-dee-da-dee-da-da. I know it might sound trite, but if we do it right, we can make a city that's delightfully, frightfully awful. So let us light the way into a brand new phase. And maybe we won't even have to bring about the end of days. Not if we had a haunted town. A haunted town. If we had a haunted town. A haunted town. It's a haunted town. Thank you. That's a tune from Super Secret Cult Band. This is so lovely.
Woo!
Love you all.
Wow.
Yay!
That was so fun.
That was beautiful.
Oh, that's me. On deck, we're gonna have Julia. Thank you, Dylan. That was amazing. On deck, we're gonna have Julia, and next we're gonna have Juliette, all the way from Oregon. Julia, are you still here?
Muted.
What?
Oh, can you hear me? Sorry, wow, I was muted the whole time. Great.
Where you got to that one airplane? Let's see.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, so this is Call Me Magic. It's after Marcus Wicker's poem, When I'm Alone in My Room, Sometimes I Stare at the Wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call. Call me magic, without the caveat of black girl. Call me Hecate. Watch me slip drip shadows on all these motherfuckers. Call me angry, a warhead dangerously close to going ballistic. Call me whip wheel ancestry, sugarcane sour with none of the profits. Call me sorrow, the drowned kind. Call me bottom feeder, bones at the bottom of the Atlantic. Call me shark food, chains, cotton rows of teeth looking like braces. Call me high, the smoke lip kiss of paranoia. Call me yellow, fuck it, call me tragic. We all know that one's true. Call me pretty, imply it's for a black girl, imply it's for a fat girl. Call me earthquake expansive, as if Earthshaker could ever be an impulse. Call me Tartarus pit, black hole being, watch me get lost in myself. Call me not quite gay, definitely not straight. Call me bloom in sapphic motion. Call me descendant, ascendant from the fields, free to get caught in a new era of bullshit. Call me nigga, hard R, I'll punch you in the teeth, wear rings on every finger. Call me extremely fucking tired. Call me Hestia, no, just the hearth, the embers. Call me soot princess, a Cinderella of coffee with cream, too much sugar. Call me chained to the idea of legacy. Call me trauma dowry, my only inheritance, passed body to body. Call me broken, call me burned, hanged, waterlogged. Call me diasporic daydream, transplanted into soil salted. Call me disciple to congresswomen told to go back to their countries. Call me whatever you want if it keeps women safe, alive. Call me vengeful, a nightmare child. Call me Olukun's daughter, a rain dance in a flood zone. Fuck with me and I'll drown the world. Call me, but don't you ever expect an answer. Thanks.
All right. Ephrain Nehemiah.
Oh, good.
Amazing. Incredible. So good. I think we might have someone who has their audio on. So if you can just double check one more time, make sure you're muted. I think that may have been taken care of. Cool. On deck we have Anna, but right now everybody give it up for Julia.
Hello. Okay, so this is called When I Was a Ballerina. And I don't tell people about it now because I'm afraid if I talk about it too much, I will want to go back. I'm afraid if I tell all the good stories with the beautiful steps, the music, the applause, and the lights, I will miss it all so much. I will forget everything that happened after the curtain closed and the costumes came off. The part where I quit because of my eating disorder, because of the injuries, because of the breakdowns and the burnout, and I can't blame my parents or my teachers or my friends for not stopping me sooner because I kept insisting it was best for me even as I withered in front of them. How could they have known? How can you know something is dying if it keeps insisting it is alive? I could talk about the breaking points, the moments when I watched pieces of myself get chipped away but thought it was okay. They must not be important if they came off so easily like dead skin. Who needs hunger? Who needs a voice? Who needs bones? I was a body of hard work, a body of broken pieces, but I was still too strong to shatter. I believed that sticking with something abusive was proof that I was stronger and braver than everyone else, but that is bullshit. I just didn't want to fail. I was so afraid of saying I can't do this anymore that I just didn't say anything at all. And with dancing, you aren't supposed to speak, so I am still learning how to tell this story without cowering at the sound of my own voice. I am still learning how to tell this story without becoming the main character. And at the end, all I can say is, I think I am happier now. But that doesn't mean I've forgotten all the ways I once knew to tear myself apart. You don't get to leave the baggage at the airport just because you got off the plane, and these things have a way of finding their way back home. Every time I find a piece of my old life in my new suitcase, I want to be angry. I want to convince myself it isn't mine, but it is hard to be angry at something you once loved. I still have a notebook full of all the times dancing made me happy, all the times it was my passion. Did you know the word passion means something you are willing to suffer for? And I am still going through those pages, trying to untwist the suffering from the willing so I can stop telling this story in two parts, but there will always be a double helix. The part I want to remember with the stories I love to tell, and the other one, the toxic strand we try so hard to forget. The strand we do not believe is real until we find it coiled in our blood and cannot convince ourselves it wasn't already there to begin with. Sometimes I still wonder if I made the wrong choice, if I walked away from the realest dream I've ever had, but every choice has its consequences, and I cannot demonize ballet for being what it is, but I also can't defend it anymore. I'm tired of telling this story in the good light, so maybe that is why I write it now, to retell without reliving, to confess without feeling guilty, to be honest about my experience, to get relief, and finally, eventually, to move on. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you
Beautiful.
so much.
Very beautiful.
2020 Cupsy. 2020 Cupsy didn't know what they missed out on. On deck, we're going to have Adam, and next we got Anna.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is confessions. Masaki had like a kind of cool confession about rap music. Mine is less cool, and it's about kind of being raised by dogs. It's called Dogs Without Names. Farm dogs don't sleep inside, don't sit on laps or wear sweaters. Farm dogs have BBs lodged in their hide, have one wonky eye, pink scars on their thigh, and stay out in all kinds of weather. Farm dogs don't go to the vet, don't force you to pet them with urgent nose nudgery. Farm dogs sometimes just don't come back, are lost to the black of clear country nights, alight with the bright country stars that you can't see from home. Farm dogs eat scraps, crust ends afloat in souring milk, old pasta or beans, curled rinds of whatever your grandma sloshed in the trash pail. Farm dogs' brand dog food never fails to have names like Bravo or Duke or Hero or Buddy, or some other bulk cowboy ruddy name to slap on a bag of corn, horrors, and gristle. Farm dogs are not precious, and this I had to learn. As a girl who longed for a dog for her naps and her lap and her happiness, but farm dogs don't come inside. And farm dogs don't perform dramatic plays of our anxieties, maladjustments, ill attachments. They aren't screens for our coddling, our modeling, our neuroses, our foibles. They just are. Chest alert, ears pert, though notched and bitten, farm dogs let me run with them, flattening paths through waves of alfalfa, gathering burrs at our ankles, sniffing the air's breath for sweet grasses, or quick leads of honeysuckle trumpeted, then gone. Farm dogs move with you, around you, together, many-footed as one, kicking up dirt in baptisms of dust. You'll sit and you'll stay because you want to, not because you must. And you'll snap at gnats and squint at the sun and feel twilight shadow your face in slices of purples. And when you need to hide because inside is a nightmare, farm dogs will always give you away. Your mom will know wherever a troop of ragged-edged mutts gather together, their tangle of a sad-faced girl is not far behind. Farm dogs don't wear collars. Farm dogs are not fearful, aren't scared of your loss. Thanks.
All right.
So good.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
I just really want a dog so badly, guys. I think up on deck we have some sort of a battle, which I'm very enthused about. But right now, everybody give it up for Adam.
All right, so I stand between us and a joke battle, so let's do this. So this is called Orange Sapphires. The world's two oldest professions, prostitution and farming, have more in common than you might think. They both put you on your knees most of the time, involve money and power, and the men who have the most of both of those are the ones that always want to negotiate more for less. There's something straight and phallic involved, and always gross underpayment for services rendered, given both these professions take years for their providers to master to keep you coming back for that perfection that's always delivered. Each involves putting a seed in a dark place with the potential that you may hold something amazingly beautiful in your hands months down the road. I'd like to think I've never pimped myself out, but what you're willing to pay for a trick isn't that different than what you're willing to pay for a bunch of carrots. So when you ask me how I can charge that much for 10 of them, there's some things that you should know. 4 hours before you held them in your hands, they were in the dark earth still growing. 1 day ago, they were added to the harvest list. 10, 30, and 50 days ago, they were weeded with the most precise, utmost care so as not to damage their tender, translucent roots. 65 days ago, they were seeded with a cedar that 3 years ago shipped from halfway around the world and was assembled by these hands and then fine-tuned through repetition, repetition, repetition. 90 days ago, the seeds were ordered, picked from a warehouse in Maine, weighed, packed, carried, labeled, shipped, and delivered. 100 days ago, they were added to a crop plan. And before that, there were thousands of hours, millions of seeds, a lifetime of love and toil and mistakes. All the crooked carrots of the last 2 decades have been sorted out away from your vision, then labeled in our cooler as farmer food, because that's what we eat ourselves. Because the straightest, most perfect ones are always saved for you, because no one ever wants to buy a crooked carrot. You see, I've spent decades making sure you hold the best root you have ever tasted in your hands, week after week, year after year, and I will look into your eyes while I confess this, because I know just how much magic these carrots hold. So I'll watch your kids come running toward me each week when they see my piles as rare and precious as orange sapphires, and I'll watch you wear that smile all the way from your car, because no one has ever made your kids run for something that's both this healthy and this addictive. Then I'll smile too for all those same reasons, and also because I know that you can get some cheap knockoff orange imitation elsewhere, but you always come back to me, because I grow carrots that taste so goddamn good, your kids eat them on the spot without ever even thinking about dipping them in Hidden Motherfucking Valley Ranch. Thanks, Al.
Thank you. On deck, we're gonna have Nicholas Clarkson. Next, we got this joke battle, but I have no idea how I'm gonna do this joke battle with a gallery view. Is that cool with you guys, or how should we do it? Yeah, we'll just do the gallery view. Unmute. All right, yo. We got Katrina and Anthony going to joke battles.
Where's Katrina at?
Where's Katrina? What do you want to go first, Katrina?
Just putting my headphones on.
Okay.
So that it doesn't echo.
All right. How about Katrina did win last time? Let's have Katrina go first, so Anthony could rebuttal. So I'm gonna.
That sounds fine.
All right. So are we doing this like one joke at a time?
We're doing one joke at a time.
All right. I can't...
The person that laughs the most loses, right?
Yes.
Okay, Masaki, are you keeping track?
Am I what?
You gonna keep track of who laughs the most?
What? I don't think we're gonna keep scoring this one. Let's just see how the crowd goes. Let's
see how it goes. He's down here. Yeah, I'm trying to make him bigger. That's okay. All right.
Just stare at him.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, some new research actually suggests that there are two main factors in how the coronavirus spreads. The first is how dense the population is, and the second is how dense the population is.
Anthony, it's your turn.
I dig it. Okay, so I've had the past 2 years to work on my jokes since I left Lansing, and I'm proud of the ones that I picked for tonight. I think they're some of the best I've written yet. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
An airplane.
Airplane who?
Don't open a door. Like, how could an airplane reasonably knock on your door?
Fair. You know, though, Anthony, so, okay. There's not, you know, the tradition of yelling, Oppa, when you light Saganaki on fire?
Yep.
Okay, so, I have a theory. I think that actually originated from a barbecue gone wrong in the Midwest. Like, it's just like a couple of dads hanging around the grill and being like, oh yeah, sure there, Bob. I've got your grilled cheese right here on the grill, and it's just like, nope, it's a fire!
Oh no, you both laughed.
I feel like we're gonna lose to our own jokes.
Really bad one.
It was good. So you know that there's some schools still open, and I'm actually going back to school for my master's during this. I'm getting my master's baiting, and it's great because all the classes are online.
Oh no.
Love that. I'm gonna steal that. I'm stealing that.
Nasty.
Oh, I can't hear you.
It's nasty. Oh. So I'm really glad to hear that you're back at school. So I'm actually one of the fortunate ones who still gets to work during all of this craziness. And so I moved into a new office, and one of my coworkers, oh my God, she's so catty. And I think it's because she's a cat. And I work from home.
Nice. All right, you ready? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
An airplane.
An airplane who?
Wait, you're gonna let the second one in?
Yes, I'm very accommodating.
Go ahead, that was it.
Walking all around laughing.
All right. Maybe you guys haven't seen it yet, but the CDC just put out a new music video trying to teach people about like the signs and the symptoms of coronavirus. And like, I know that Fauci's not like a professional singer or anything, but like it came across really tone deaf. Tone deaf messaging. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
This has been a really strange time for most of us, but I think children of farmers have been going through this their whole life, right? They're all quarantines.
Adam, can you speak on that one?
That's going on our Instagram tonight, I swear.
I think that was 5 jokes each.
No, I got one more.
One more round. One more.
We got one more. All right. So, okay, Anthony,
dearest, darlingest love of my life. Have you been protecting yourself? Have you got like a mask and stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so it's kind of funny because like I went out to the store and I picked up some neoprene gloves, right? And it was so crazy. I got home and I went to like use them, and it turns out they were both lefts, which I mean, on one hand is great, but on the other, just wasn't right.
Wait, wouldn't those fit on both hands?
No, because one's a left. They're both lefts. They were both lefts.
That doesn't sound right to me.
It's not right. Precisely.
All right. So the airplane from all the other jokes was actually a joke airplane, but it must be on a really long trip because none of those jokes landed.
Oh, that was cute.
Damn it.
Who are you?
I like that one. That was a good one. Thank you for that. I miss you.
Thanks. I miss you also.
I think Masaki lost.
Masaki lost, I think.
I'm just covered in cuteness right now.
That's
maybe. That was just something to behold and treasure and cherish for all of the days. On deck we have Jay, but everybody put your hands together for Nicholas Clarkson.
All right. Is this knock knock? All right. I'm not. Oh, thank you, host. All right. Well, welcome. I'm new. If some of you know me, wonderful. So this poem is something that I think everybody needs to explore during this time. So this was all about getting a tattoo at 12:30. See, me and Midnight started this dark and light ride at 7:59, trying to find the night, wondering if the night might be slightly capricious to once in our life and left and life and let it simmer in doppelganger and a little early this time. I'm not sure why, but there's a side that's scratching in my mind, whispering, you're running out of time. Out of time. Anxiety begins to fill my belly as I walk. I feel as I'm jogging, my breathing quickens, yet only slightly. So as I explore the coming eve, I say to the sunset, you could have left a little early. The sun replies, my territory is mine until you find yourself beyond me. Count yourself lucky that I return. There is an eternity beyond my reach. Be glad that you are far enough that you do not burn with each turn. I know what you seek outside of my warmth, and if you bear its mark upon you until time itself dawns anew. As the sun slipped away out of view, leaving my world as if pushed by the overwhelming darkness, my midnight silhouette giving form with existential definition, I see eyes that give birth to the moon, and a smile that spreads its calming touch over the land. I greet the moon, and it welcomes me into the night, telling me its journey was long and even now still pushing to keep going. Bearing a different light to guide those kin to its touch, and tells me that this journey will be everlasting upon my soul. I pause. The sun, the moon, and the spirit have all foretold something lying in wait, and I gasp at the thoughts in my wake. Forsake me, they have, yet the future comes anyway. Anxiety grows in my chest, and each step feels like 100-meter sprint. Yet to my left, midnight is still by my side. Midnight I call, will all be all right. I receive a smile covering me in moonshine, so calming, so warm. touching the depths of my soul, reaching the coldest places, and my subconscious says, behold. I say, behold what? Behold what? Speak to me. Silence falls within me. I hear only my heartbeat, seeping the thoughts of fear, reaping within me, tearing me as I bleed, screams of apprehension. My watch says 10 o'clock, yet the moon has almost reached its apex. Somehow time has lost its tempo. Midnight's rhythm has quickened. My footsteps are not reaching pavement anymore. I feel drawn to an unknown that knows me before untold, and with every shaking step I continue to walk forward. The moon gets brighter, my midnight shadow disappears, and I feel a revealing upon me. I look up and the moon has reached unison with the one beside me, and I find eyes attached to a face that rivals the beauty of all the universe and all its wonders, and forever I see two, the one before me and the one in my mind. I blink, and her sight never paused. My midnight of the moon, in the twilight, in the night to calm my fury. This beauty will be received for the first time in eternity. At 12:30, my being was touched, and a truth burned, etching timeless words within me. My midnight will always exist between the darkness and the light. Her twilight will hold the truce between them and allow wonder to exist forever. You see, this was a love story. This was a story that needed to be told because there was something bold so deep within me that I was so cold that I was wondering how long I could be alone. This was a love story. This was a place that I needed to fold myself into, like creating a pastry or some kind of dish, and I just needed to find out which wish I wanted to give. This was a love story that I didn't know which face to give to. I was just looking for a taste, just a breath, just a place, just a home, just a stasis chamber that I can just create stillness and find a meditative home where I can freeze time and never, ever, ever be alone. This was a love story.
All right, guys, let's give it up for Nicholas.
Thank you. Thank you.
On deck, we got Kelly, and next we got. Oh, Bear, I see you, Bear. That's really cute. Next we got Jay.
Alrighty. Hello. I hope all y'all can hear me. Yes, cool. All right. So this is a new poem, although a good portion is taken from a journal entry that I wrote in December. And it seemed oddly fitting, so I picked it back up again recently. The poem is called Feather Picking, which is a behavior that pet birds sometimes pick up when they're bored or stressed in their cages. Happy dog out the window, and I don't know how to feel but joy. But I don't feel it, quite. Too aware of myself, outsider observer, to let the unfiltered emotions in. And I'm a little nervous around dogs anyway. Too scared I might look them in the eye too long, trying to read intentions that may or may not be there. Always aware of the potential for violence or connection. Or maybe it's just I don't have emotion like that. More static and social imitation than instinctive native tongue. I am more winged creature picking out feathers for the lack of somewhere to fly than human being these days. I'm just a blue jay craving raspberries, seeking to stain myself new colors like bearded vultures preening with dirt to show, look how much time I have to be vibrant. Clay-covered plumage of violent red, and I love it until I realize it's just the same as any other social show, like the Twitter posts 3 days in the making that will never see the outside of a draft spock, but will kick off my 3-month internet disappearance. And then my shoulders are aching again, and I catalog the poems about wings, mourning for the lost freedom. How do you keep a blue jay in a capitalist cage? You don't. Just let it go and watch itself. Just let it go and watch it beat itself against the window, trying to get back into that structure again. I'm finding it's easier to exist when you know when to feed yourself. This is third pot on the same bag tea. After a while, it's just the water with a slight tang, just enough to know it's not quite pure. That same watered down emotion of disconnecting from desires and the happy dog outside, trying to remember this isn't something to fear anymore. Thank you.
Dang. All right.
Yes. Woo. Beautiful.
Love it.
Y'all, that was Jay. On deck we have Hannah, but give it up for Kelly.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I hope you can hear me. I've never read anything in public before, so I hope you guys enjoy this, but if not, oh well.
First time?
Inside Out, the greatest movie ever created. A confession from the first time I got high and the second time I watched Inside Out. A defining characteristic of something that's not just good, but great, is that it is better the second time. The second time I watched Inside Out, I declared it the greatest movie I had ever seen. Click, clack. The emotions control Riley's actions through the counsel of her brain, while behind the curtain, they tug at the strings connected to my own heart. Laugh with joy, cry with sadness. Occasionally, the movie steps out of the world of anthropomorphized emotions and into reality. Pow! I stared back at my husband, clearly strapped into the same roller coaster as I. A few minutes of looking back and forth, fiction, reality, reality, fiction. Did I mention I tried some edibles beforehand? And I grabbed my journal and scribbled. When you are young, your emotions control you, but when you grow up, you become in control of your emotions. Sorry. Yet the first time I watched Inside Out, it took complete control, and it's doing it again. These thoughts, coupled with a quote that stuck in the shelves of my long-term memory and was launched back to headquarters. I kept waiting for a moment when I would grow up, and it never came, said a 30-something paper engineer presenting glorified origami to a group of college freshmen. The second time I watched Inside Out, it was my moment. Simultaneously growing up and realizing that I may never be a grown-up. As I read the sloppy, large print aloud to my husband, his joyously stoned face turned stern, tears fell as he stared. Not sure whether it was my words, my delivery, or the psychoactive substances in our systems, I crossed my fingers in hopes that tomorrow, when I read this again, I could declare it great. Yet hasn't that been the bane of my adult existence? Wanting to leave some skid mark of greatness that someone will walk by once and say, ooh, that's good. Twice and say, wow, that's great. When did good become not good enough? The first time I got high, I wrote a stoned essay and I signed it anonymous out of some fear that I was too old to be realizing what I was and too young to be taken seriously. The first time I got high, the second time I watched Inside Out, I grew up, but not all the way.
Woo! Woo! Can I? Okay.
Love.
So I used to be part of the Portland Poetry Slam scene, and in Portland, the first time somebody comes up to the mic, we all do Muppet hands. So can we get Muppet hands real quick, everybody?
Muppet hands.
Muppet hands for Kelly. Amazing.
All right, on deck we're gonna have Taylor, but next we have a former MSU Slam Team president, Hannah.
Hi, friends.
So my piece is very short, and it's about love, because love is one of the greatest confessions we can give. So I'm calling this First Day of My Life. I wanted to wait to kiss you because I know that moment comes only one time. The softness of your lips on mine, the gentle fervor with which you cup my face, the taste of you, new and bold and surprising. The way the room moves with us, creating awareness of intimacy. Like grass turning green again post-shower, I needed you, and as the grass thirsts for the rain, so does it seek a soft place to fall. I prolonged this moment as much as I could, but you lowered the gate, invited me in with a soft nudging beckon. And in the living room of your apartment, on that ocean-colored sofa I know so well now, we kissed for the first time. While we began our memorizations, I became aware of the trembling plates settling and unsettling beneath me. This was a quake in the making, and considering the singing birds in the park before we went home, I guess it could not be predicted. I would change nothing about our divine collision, but some days, like today, when I am full of flowing river love for you, I yearn for the warmth of early September and the evening which held the moment I'm lucky enough to have had one time. Thank you.
Amazing. Oh, I feel so fluttery. You guys, that was Hannah. On deck, we have Stevie, but right now we have Taylor.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I wrote this song, I think just a couple days ago, and it is about the desire for the technological capability to be able to relive your memories as if they were the present moment. Is there any possibility that I have capacity if I stay in forever and ever? Then could I wonder if I could live off these memories, or could I live off these memories if I stay in forever and ever for the rest of my life? I wonder if I could live off these memories. Maybe one day, someday, when robots rule the world and our vision and reality get tough to distinguish between, oh, give me the option in pursuit of happiness. I hope that in my lifetime I will see something like it. I wonder if I could live off these memories, or could I live off these memories if I stay in forever and ever for the rest of my life? I wonder if I could live off these memories. Oh, it's all I need. all so if I stay in forever and ever for the rest of my life, I wonder if I could live off these memories. Thank you. Hi, Mom. I am Mary. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you so much. And when
Yeah.
you get back into town, we would love to get you onto the Robin Theater.
Yes, of course, of course.
Wow.
On deck, we're gonna have Isabella. Next, we got Stevie Pipis.
Hello. So I am super nervous about reading this poem because it is new shit. And it is really long for me, which means it's probably like a little over 3 minutes. But
New shit.
with
When
that,
you get back into town, we would
No
love
shit.
to get you onto the Robin Theater.
Oh, sorry.
on loneliness. 1. At 15, I made a pact with the devil. He told me, everyone you love or ever will love will be happy forever. In exchange, you bear an excruciating loneliness. Easiest, best deal I've ever made. 2. Most days, it feels like my chest has been hollowed out and the last pieces of soul scraped away by an angry, manic toddler wielding a paperclip. 3. There are yellow lights I speed through before crashing into a severe depressive episode. I'm starting to think, listening to the hotelier while drinking Earl Grey from a dirty Pikachu coffee mug at 3 a.m. is a last-ditch attempt at finding comfort before bed. As I know in the morning, I'll probably want to kill myself. 4. When my cat wants attention, he'll often sit in front of me and stare until I pick him up or play. I feel like I do the same thing to my friends. 5. April 2020. I've been hearing my upstairs neighbors have sex more often. As a result, I've started to wear my headphones when I write. I still sleep with stuffed animals, though the panic attacks aren't occurring as often at night. Not sharing my bed with someone doesn't bum me out as much as it did this time last year. 6. Mom said Grandma should be in a hospital or home by next week. I just can't do it anymore. She needs more help than what I can give her. It's hard, but it's the right decision. I always feel so useless, distraught, disheartened, hopeless when people I love are hurting. I never know how to help. 7. I've written 6 suicide notes in my life. I never wrote one before any of my 3 attempts. 8. I'm so tired of fighting myself all the fucking time. Which I'd manage fine if I didn't randomly hear Sarah in the back of my head say, our first dance has to be to Part 1 by Band of Horses. That is totally our song. Or, I can't stop thinking about how cute a kid between the two of us would be. 9. Some days aren't terrible. Coffee helps. So does music. I still keep my headphones within arm's reach, and I'm reading other poetry books. Besides, you get so alone at times that it just makes sense, even though the book is also always within arm's reach. 10. Since my grandpa died, Ginsberg's complete works has been on my nightstand, permanently bookmarked to cache. Thank you all so much.
Guys, give it up for Stevie.
Hell yeah, Stevie.
Great. Also, my my set list has changed entirely since I started this open mic because of what you and Masaki have read. So completely different poems going to be reading at the end of this, thanks to you guys. On deck, y'all, we have Brian, Fritz, but right now, put your hands together for Isabella. Isabella. Do we have Isabella Mansfield?
Okay, now I'm unmuted.
Amazing.
There we go. That worked out because my kid was knocking on my door because it's almost bedtime. So, hi. Okay, so everybody's been amazing.
Wait, sorry, your video's off too.
My video. Oh, you might have the wrong one. I was logged in otherwise in a different one.
I can see
Hang
it.
on. I had it logged in separately. Let me close that one. Okay. Okay. Better? Should be better. I love the Poetry Room and the Robin Theater, and I'm so glad that we are all here-ish, sort of, tonight. My confession tonight is that I am reading a poem that I actually just read in February at the Robin Theater for Family Business. The reason I'm repeating so soon after is twofold. One, I really didn't know what else to read. I am dealing with some serious writer's block, and I was mega stuck. And two, I am kind of currently at war with my family a little bit right now. So apologies in advance if this poem gets a little extra raw. This poem is called, I didn't write it on the page, I forgot. This poem is called Imposter Syndrome. My sister wanted a sister. She got a brother. They wanted a puppy and got another brother. Then a puppy. Then another puppy. Then a cat. And then me. My sister wanted a sister to play with. By the time I was old enough to play, she was in high school, and my brothers just wanted me out of the way. I apologize for this as an adult, as if my place in the family, my birth order, was my fault. My parents divorced, and Mom remarried, and then I was the youngest of more. There were more voices, more needs. And then he died, and she remarried, and remarried. And well, in 4th grade, they put me in the gifted program. I don't remember why, but I definitely felt that I was drowning. 10 is awfully young to hope nobody notices that you don't understand. They asked us to study what we wanted to be, and I tried space, go higher, marine biology, go deeper, architecture, go bigger, and I hated every one of them. I hoped at 10 it didn't mean I would fail at everything. I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and maybe you picked it up, maybe you didn't, maybe you did, and I wondered why. You see, I have always felt last, least, worst. It's like imposter syndrome, but it's my whole life. I pinned participation ribbons all over my room from every elementary school field day. I floated invisible through the halls of my high school, and when they planned the 20th reunion, I had to remind people that I actually did go to school there, and don't you remember, I sat behind you in bio, behind you, behind everyone. At 8, I was left behind at my own birthday party. It happened again at 10 and 17 behind everyone. Last week, I was separated from my own family left behind because they never wait for me. Behind everyone. My therapist tells me not to internalize everything and feel like a failure, and I tell her that's the only thing I think I am actually good at, and you took it away from me. I have never felt good enough at anything for anyone, and I wonder how long until everyone will notice that I am not who they think I am, that I am not what they want me to be. Sometimes I try to point it out directly, but even that fails. It's the way he used to cup my face and tell me, you could be amazing. One day, you'll be absolutely incredible. We all have that person who we would break in half for. One day, he said, I never learned what good enough looked like. My name was my great-grandmother's. She had 13 children, and I don't even know how many grandchildren and great-grandchildren before her name was gifted to me. I have tried to live up to her, but everyone has been hell-bent on shortening Isabella my whole life, as if they knew I could never be so grand. Bella. Belle. This name is French, is Italian, is Spanish, is Haitian, is Portuguese, is beautiful, but only in other languages. In languages that are not my native tongue, in languages nobody speaks to me. My friends were all Jessicas, Jennifers, Michelles, Karens were always the worst. I tried on other names when I was small. It felt like wearing someone else's shoes or riding a bike that just didn't fit, and I gave those names to my favorite dolls, the sisters I never played with. My deepest fear in life is goodbye. Every movie with a sad departure, every lost toy, lost friendship, lost love, shakes the roots of every tree, shakes the foundation of every home, all the homes we lived in and left. We moved so often growing up, I stopped unpacking, and I still have boxes full of my entire childhood I never bothered to open. I'll bring them with me next time. All these boxes with all these issues, at least they're labeled. There's just so much to unpack. Favorite toys, old report cards, mixtapes, fear of failure, abandonment. At 39 years and 2 months old, my mom apologized for the fighting I endured at 3 that led to the divorce at 4. At least I got you, she says. At least. At the least. The least she got was me. It's like imposter syndrome, but it's my whole life. It's like abandonment issues. You either leave first or get left behind. Thank you.
Hit us in the feels on that one.
Good job.
Some family is some family is shitty, but I gotta say though, Taylor, your mom is the dopest. Like all up in the comment section, like cheering you on. So shout outs to her. We got 6 people left. All right, 5 before Brenna. So stick with us here. On deck, we're gonna have Jillian, and next, the homie from the MSU Slam team. We got Brian.
Hello, I'm Brian. Hopefully y'all are muted. This whole thing has gone so much smoother as we've gone along, so this is great. I'm going to play a song called Hearts. My confession is, well, this is back, it started when I was dating this girl who, she saw hearts all around her and thought that was like a sign from the universe, and like, that's beautiful and all, but my confession is, she was nuts. Once I loved a girl who saw hearts in everything, like a signpost from the heavens, leading her to what she needs, but it didn't help. She never could quite love herself. Now I worried for her life sometimes, and I worried about her dreams, how her nightmares conjured storms that I had no way of weathering. It's not her fault. She never could get it all. Sometimes I think that I should be the things you need the most from me. Sometimes I think that it might help if I could be that for myself. These hearts, they don't beat the same anymore. Now I'm looking for something reasonable, and I hate to wonder how we got this way. These hearts, they don't beat the same anymore. Well, I did a little look and found out what you're up to now, and it seemed to with that friend from work you told me not to worry about. Guess that's a past behind us now. I'm trying to love myself some more, and I've been trying to find my song, but like a bird who's hit the window, when you hear this, I'll be gone, but I wish you well. No, I loved you, girl, you put me through hell. Sometimes I think that I should be the things you need the most from me. Sometimes I think that it might help if I could be that for myself. And these hearts, they don't beat the same anymore. Now I'm looking for something reasonable, and I hate to wonder how we got this way. These hearts, oh no, no, they don't beat the same anymore. These hearts, they don't beat the same anymore. Now I'm looking for something reasonable, and I hate to wonder how we got this way. These hearts, they don't beat the same anymore. Now I'm looking for something reasonable, and I hate to wonder how we got this way. These hearts, we don't beat the same anymore. No, 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 oh, beat the same. Oh, no, beat the same anymore. Thank you.
Wow. I loved it.
Ryan, are you in Michigan?
Yes, I'm in Howell.
Sorry?
I'm in Howell.
Okay, see, I feel like, and there is a woman at the open mic in Ann Arbor who does bird songs about exes, and I would pay $80 for a ticket to that duet show.
Oh my God, I think that's just on my next
Very specific.
set. Yeah, totally, we're doing this.
What a dream! What a break from quarantine with some bird X duet.
These are my birds that I figured I can bring them along since I can control the whole set. So
amazing. Y'all, that was so great. We're gonna keep it on going. On deck we have V, but right now give it up for Jillian.
Cool. So I'm Jillian. I'm a member of the MSU Slam team and the Cupsy team for this year, which was going to be tomorrow. But so if you've been to any of our events or any of the Robin Theater events, you may have heard this before, but I'm not going to give too much away, but there's a story here that I thought was a closed chapter, but seems to be opening again. So here we go. As a musician, I have learned all the terms it takes to play the music. I have read all the ways the books tell us to communicate the story, and now it is a whole other language just for us. Forte, loud, decrescendo, softer, accelerando, faster, niente, Italian for nothing. My father is the fish out of water at the dinner table, the only non-musician in my family, and it is always clear in the way the technical language does not fit right in his mouth. The sound fizzles out between our tongues and his ears like radio static, but still, somehow, he always knows their meanings. He knows the louds and the softs from the way we say the words, the way our faces give it all away, as they so often do. We have learned each other's rhythms so well at this point, you would almost think us unbreakable. Sometimes, I'd like to think almost would be enough, and I like to pretend it is. They still do not know what is wrong with my brother. And what I mean is, I cannot remember the last time he ate a full meal, or has not been the Benjamin Button of teenage boy, ever dwindling, shrinking, until he turns sideways and suddenly he is gone. My little brother. He is the still too early Christmas morning alarm clock, my right-hand man for every family fight, timely wisecrack after the dust has settled, and now the decrescendo, 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 niente. The doctors come out with him when he is done with yet another test. Down 22 pounds in less than 8 months at age 17. The words are radio static, but I know the meaning. I know so much about what it means to know nothing at all. The dinner conversation looks different that night. We all learn how to keep the words 22 and cancer out of our throats, and the silence fixes itself a plate before shattering it against the wall. No one speaks for a while, and he is the audience to a full symphony of our eating, the selfish flaunting of our health we are not sure he will ever join. We keep the silverware out anyway.
Wait, is it off?
This time, we say, at least you are not dying, but there is something about the way the words fizzle out, the way our faces give it all away, the way no one can convince anyone else anymore that we are right.
Oh.
Who will wake me up on Christmas morning? Who will fight with me over which one of us the dog loves more? Who will play music with me if he is gone? He has been almost better for almost 8 months now, and I am a lousy prayer artist and an even lousier asker of help. But when I hear his voice over the phone saying he cannot come see me because he is too sick, drugged up, and tired, I teach myself to swallow my pride. Let him stay with me long enough for me to call him my best friend to his face and mean it. Let him fill up the whole room one more time, with the light no one is ever quite awake enough to anticipate. Let him play one more piece of music, scanning the crowd for my face afterwards to ask me if I liked it, even though I always have and I always will. All I ask is for one more retardando. All I ask is for a little more time. Thank you, everybody.
That was beautiful.
That was Jillian, everyone, from the Cup C team, and the Cup C competition missed out. Jillian was the person who was gonna rearrange everything for the Cup C team to take a red eye so they could be on the team and to be with us and to see Brenna single-handedly. It was beautiful because, man, that's such a great poem as well. But everything Jillian does, I really appreciate you. Now we got back-to-back some of the best shit talkers I know. If I ever got into a verbal fight, these are the two people that I want on my team. We got Cheryl Caesar on deck, and next we got V.
You know, Masaki, you keep talking about how much of a shit talker I am, and all I'm gonna be reading is sad shit. Like, you can't be like, oh, they're gonna do a fucking angry poem. No, stop giving me that expectation.
Unexpected shit.
It is still good shit. I hope so. I hope it's still good shit. I don't do poems sitting down. So I have to stand up because I'm a fucking performance artist or whatever. So I wrote this a week after my breakup with a dude who didn't deserve me. And I prefaced it with, I just got broken up. And so I thought I would write a poem about my dad. Here it goes. My first memory of my father was when I was 5 years old. I had woken up and he was just about to leave for work, and he carried me back to my room and to my bed. My mom would say we were like this. So I would stay with him as he worked on the computer, programming chips for projects like the Mars rover and spaceships. My father was a Silicon Valley man before it became Silicon Valley. I remember he taught me how to use a soldering iron. He expressed great concern that I cleaned it after every meld. I tried to make him a ring a little bit after. I used the soft metal as the base so it kept melting whenever I touched it, and I couldn't get any of it right. The 2008 recession hit him hard. He moved to Michigan before us, and it hit me hard. Mom was a bitch, and I was a bitch, and I got to leave the 5th grade early. Don't know how I was able to go into middle school leaving a grade in the middle of the last semester, but I already got my diploma, so what are they going to do? That summer, where it was just me, my father, and my older brother, I think that was the last time I felt happy. I remember the first time we played catch. He bought a pair of racquetball, and we were pretty good, and then he threw it in a way that it hit my nose, and I started bleeding, and instead of comfort, I got, okay, hold your nose, I'll be right back. He was gone for 25 minutes. Came back with paper towels, but I was bitten by a giant ant on my finger, so I was crying more about that than anything else. I remember the first time he took me fishing. He bought me a Barbie pole and said, if a cop pulls up, I'll give you the pole, since kids don't need fishing licenses. We drove to a beach. It was cloudy and cold. Then we fished off a bridge, and I caught a fish. I wanted to keep it and bring it home, so we filled the tackle box with water, and he kept it in there for the drive, moving him to the kitchen sink. And he died the next morning, and all my dad ever said about it was, we probably put him in bad water. Not what an 11-year-old wants to hear. I can't say I've ever heard my father say he loves me. And when I tell people that, they find it sad, but it's the least horrible thing in my life. I think my father has autism. He's obsessed with electronics and Doctor Who and only ever listens to 80s rock. He's never been good at reading the room or displaying emotions beside anger. I've never seen him cry. Even when he's lost job after job, he's never cried, just, all right, better get started finding a new one. I remember the first time I witnessed his anger. I just started to learn to read. I didn't know what happened, but he picked up my brother's high chair and rushed towards me, stomping as he raised the high chair above his head and threw it to the ground in front of me. I don't remember crying. My father is the father of a bygone era. He worked to provide and spoil. He wore ties and taught my brother to use a lawnmower and fix toys and use a computer, and he'd bring us to this electronics store called Fry's Electronics, and he'd leave us in the toy department while he shopped and browsed. He brought us to Disneyland and bought us nachos and made us laugh. I never heard my father tell me I love you. And I think I'm grateful for that. Because all the men that have said they love me have caused me so much pain and inconsistency. His consistency and apathy have given me a gift of a parent who will be brutally honest and still there for me, a little out of love, a lot out of obligation. My father was a father. I don't know the standard for fatherhood, so I can't say whether or not he passed, but he got the job done, if anything. Thank you.
Y'all are making us feel so much right now. I love the detail. Love the memory of Fry's Electronics. Ours had a spaceship halfway crushed into it. I don't know if that was all of them.
Yeah, fucking mine had like the giant gear and it was just Fry's.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah.
What a place.
Wild. That was my first place I danced Dance Revolution and the only place.
Oh man, shout out to Fry's Electronics.
Shout out to Fry's Electronics.
Y'all, we have a couple more poets coming up. On deck we have Mike, but right now give it all up for Cheryl.
Hi. You hear me? Yeah. So in November 2018, I came to the Robin Theater and I read this poem, Flat Man, and it was the first reading I'd given in 40 years.
Yeah. Oh no, she's frozen. Is it just me?
No, she's frozen.
Oh. What do we do? I guess we.
Let's wait a couple seconds for Cheryl.
I'm gonna tell a dad joke when she comes back.
Oh wait! I got a joke. What do they call me when I go outside in the rain without an umbrella? Without an umbrella. Masagi.
No, they do not.
Weird.
Make a belt symbol. You just took the belt home. Make the belt symbol right on you.
Oh no, Cheryl.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Oh, Cheryl Caesar's back.
Masaki, can you hear me? Yes, Masaki, can you see me?
Yes, you're back.
Yay, you're back. Too. All right. So now I'm not frozen, right?
No.
Okay. So Flat Man.
40 years, you said.
40 years. November 2018. High stage, climbing up. Dark house, bright light, scary. This is a lot less scary now. And then I started writing more and more poems about this guy, the orange cockroach, until I had a book. And the book came out last week. So I'm really happy. And I would like to offer everybody here a free electronic copy. If you want it, I'll put my email in the chat and I'll send it to you. Or my Facebook, just like my page and message me and I'll send it to you. And so I want to read it again, but this is confession night. And the fact that I hate this guy is not a confession because everybody knows it. So I really want to confess something. And it's about narcissism. Okay. I was brought up by a narcissist and I was married to a narcissist, but that's not a confession because that happens to everybody, right? But I can also remember a time when I was a teenager when the shadow kind of passed over me too. And that's a terrible thing because you can't enjoy someone else singing because you want it to be you. And I'm so glad that's gone because it's like being flat. It's like being two-dimensional. And that's how this guy has lived for 72 years. I'm so glad we're not him. So I'm going to read you the poem about Flat Man. And it's got an epigraph from Madeleine L'Engle, A Wrinkle in Time. But then she seemed to hear a voice, or if not a voice, at least words. Words flattened out like printed words on paper. Oh no, we can't stop here. This is a two-dimensional planet, and the children can't manage here. Flat Man. You may not know he's flat because you've seen him in profile. In fact, he has just two views, front and side. He flip-flops between them. See how everything about him aspires to flatness. His hair rolled out in weird shapes like a child's misshapen gingerbread man. His square head, he could set his Diet Coke on it. His voice spreads out in an eternal sigh, covering the landscape like a sheet of old newspaper. It lifts a little at the end of each sentence with no more meaning than the wind lifting a bit of paper trash. All his food is flattened of flavor. Burnt steaks and ketchup, he's the ideal fast food consumer. Maximum fat, sugar, salt, every taste, always the same. He has sex with playmates and porn stars because they're familiar from the flat page, the flat screen. He uses no condom because his flat penis would only tear it, just like a paper cut. His ejaculate must smell like a cigarette butt in an old Coke can. He doesn't believe in us, the 3D people. And yet he does, and then we frighten him. He wants to steamroll us like a cartoon cat. He can never cross the dimensional border. And so he hates us, hate being the flattening emotion. Hates us all, hates the round world.
Thank you, Cheryl Caesar.
Thank you.
On deck, we're going to have our featured Brenna. But before we get to Brenna, we have the sultry voice of Mike Bass.
How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me? Can you hear all this?
Yep.
All right, cool. Thanks. So this is, let me see if I can do this. I can't see the guitar. It doesn't matter. So this is the first song I wrote that has drumming on it. If any of you who've seen at the Robin Theater, I like to do drumming on the guitar as well. And I haven't played this in a long time, so let's see how it goes. This is called Material Things. I've got reverb and shit, so I'm going to try to use it, but I don't know what's going to happen. Music isn't the easiest to hear on Zoom meetings, so.
catch me. I like falling in. I like falling. I don't care anymore for unresponsive art. I don't care anymore for faces without hearts. They keep crowding me, crowding me. Crowding me. Oh, oh, oh. Don't care anymore for material things. I don't care anymore for faces without meaning. They keep crowding me, crowding me. Crowding me. Oh, 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 oh.
Material things. Thanks, everybody.
I guess I can introduce the feature of the night, and super excited for all of this to happen. Please, everybody, if you don't have Swallowtail yet, please do order it. It is an amazing book. Everybody, we have Brenna Twohy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. This is like such an incredible opportunity. What a great open mic. I'm like very nervous, so I'm gonna read a poem and then I'm gonna talk to you about why I'm very nervous and other things. But this is a poem I was not going to read until Masaki started talking about Limp Bizkit. So this is The Awful Month. I Can Only Write Poems About Leaving You and or about Limp Bizkit. 1. What I need you to know about The Leaving is that it feels like a toddler's art project. It is something done messily with clumsy, filthy hands. And everyone will tell you how impressive it all is and how proud you should be as they place their clean palms to their unbruised chests and stick The Leaving up on the fridge. And you will pack everything you own into 11 boxes you stole from the back of the grocery store and move into a new house where you still flinch every time you hear a door open, even if you are the one opening the door. And you stare at this muddle of paint that is the rest of your life and wonder, what the fuck is this even supposed to be? Oh, sorry to your 9-year-old. 2 months later, immediately after breaking down in the urgent care lobby, when you realize name of emergency contact is a question you no longer know the answer to, Limp Bizkit will come on the radio. And somehow everything will be so much worse than it was before the biscuit was limp. And the child in the waiting room chair across from you will start screaming and covering her ears, which is a totally appropriate response to the situation. And you know that this image would have made him laugh for hours. And for a moment, it is like he is right there. And you smile until your cheekbone starts to ache, and so you check the mirror for bruising. 3, I haven't cooked chicken in 4 months. The meat thermometer ended up in one of his boxes, and I have never been able to tell just by looking when something is finished. I have terrible instincts about what is unsafe, and this is not a metaphor. I am really afraid of food poisoning, and I know that given an oven and enough time, I would cook the chicken until it was charred and crumbling, and this is not a metaphor. This is not about the way my mother taught me to check if meat was done by stabbing my knife into the thickest part. It's not about the way I didn't hear the timer go off until the entire kitchen was on fire. He seemed like such a nice guy, everyone says, as I tell them my new address. As if you can tell from outside an oven if the meat inside is poison. 4, I used to imagine all the time what his ex-wife thought about me. And she never knew my name. Had no idea the way I climbed inside his body and convinced myself it was a place I could live in. But I thought of her constantly, a ghost that lived in our house. That night that we fought about leaving the lights on. That night he threw the flour jar and it exploded on the wall next to me. I said I was sorry. And I went into the bathroom and saw my entire body covered in flour. I look just like a ghost, I thought. A ghost that lives in our house. And I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. That's what you get for making Limp Bizkit jokes. Just like a very sad poem. I don't read a lot of poems in my life. This is like the 3rd time I've read poems out loud in the last 3 years. I'm in my last semester of law school. I was supposed to graduate from law school this month. And now like the world is so crazy. And so that takes like a lot of sort of my emotional energy and my creative energy, but it also, I think for me, poetry is often like this like way of, I think, getting my brain to quiet down. And now my brain is just like, have you heard about the 4th Amendment? Like, well, let's talk about it. And my brain just like never quiets. So I'm gonna like read a really dumb, sad poem about the law. But thank you for letting me read poems, because it's not something I get to do very often. And quick plug, I guess, like while we're all social distancing and while I'm so glad I get to see you, like the United States currently still has 2 million people incarcerated like this minute who cannot social distance at all and are effectively condemned to get sick unnecessarily. So if you have the capacity to donate to your local bail funds, literally that will save lives at this exact moment. It's honestly, in my mind, the most important thing you can possibly do. Speaking of bullshit, there is this bullshit principle in the law that says you should not answer a tricky question if you have any option to avoid it. And although it is a nonsense idea, I too have ignored the sand till it was halfway up my mouth. People keep asking me if I will go home. And I think finding it unnecessary to answer that question in order to resolve the issue, I find it prudent not to say, I'm staying put for the moment, and sidestep the memory of the first time someone told me you can't go home again. And I said, I understand, and haven't been back since. On the phone, my mom laughs and says, it's not like I want to live much longer anyway. And I drop to the ground like a stop sign in a windstorm. I keep buying green onions and letting them wilt in the fridge. What to do with them is a question I haven't been forced yet to answer, but a true thing I know about myself is that I like green onions. Another is that I know the husk that despair makes out of me. If I'm lucky, I will not have to find a second place in this apartment to keep my loved one's ashes. I have a friend whose hand fits together with mine, possibly better than any two hands in the entire world. And if I'm lucky, I'll get another chance to test this theory. If there is a better way to cope with quiet endings, it's one I haven't found yet. This is not the first year I've gone the better part of, this is not the first time I've gone the better part of a year without another heartbeat within earshot. If I'm blessed enough to emerge from this gracefully, I will plant green onions from seeds, match my hand to every other hand I find, brush the sand from my eyes and write, I was here. I was here. Cool. That's a new poem that I have never read out loud before. This is another poem I was not going to read, but Stevie was talking about having loud upstairs neighbors having sex, and I wrote this poem the first April I was in Michigan, and this is now my last April in Michigan, so it felt symmetrical. Someone lives in apartment 4. I know it because I've heard her fucking. Packages with her name appear and disappear off the porch. One entire week, her snow boots were left drying by the vents. She likes to time her fucking, ensuring it begins 20 to 40 minutes after I have fallen asleep, and lasts until I have contemplated setting a small fire, both to force an evacuation and a presumptive end to the fucking, but also in retaliation for the reminder my own bed has never been such a showy symphony. I know she lives there, despite never having seen her. The same way I know the promise nothing will change between us has been quietly and unceremoniously broken. Saying we have not become strangers by the distance does as much good as saying apartment 4 is empty. Believe me, I know about the word empty and the many meanings it can bear. There is no one to blame for this but the both of us. I never put my boots by the vents, and now it's April and they're dripping wet. Cool, I'm gonna read 2 more poems. This is like another poem I was not gonna read. And have maybe only read in public like twice before, but Jillian's poem really reminded me of this poem and made me feel like I wanted to read it, which is such a blessing. Man, sorry, I haven't read this poem in a really long time. In 1997, 3 days before my mother's birthday, Chumbawamba releases the iconic classic Tub Thumping, and everyone I know spends the next 10 years trying to unremember it. But despite our best efforts, anytime we walk into a Red Robin or a Spencer's Gifts, we will all sing along loudly. I get knocked down, but I get up again, and you're never gonna keep me down, with the notable exception of my brother, who will sing just as loudly. I get knocked down, but I can opera sing, and I'm never gonna lose my voice. It's called a mondegreen, a misheard lyric. Like how the Ramones will sing, I wanna be sedated, and my mom will nod along as she sings, I want a piece of bacon. It is the way our brains fill in gaps. Our brains make sense of things that we didn't or couldn't hear. The way my mom said, he's gone. And I asked her where. How I could not make sense of it. Even though I had played this song for a decade, lip-syncing the chorus every time my phone rang in the middle of the night, and still, I did not recognize it when it played. My brother had a compass with each of our names tattooed on his chest. And on the plane, my mom said, I want to have that, you know? And of course, she meant the compass. But I thought she meant his skin. A person who used to be me wrote a poem that same morning, and now I do not understand the words or the conversations of anyone who did not know him, never played him in dominoes, or listened for the sound of his breathing across a hallway and 2 closed doors. Spring has come so early, we must be mishearing it. We clean out his trailer, and there is nothing there to make sense of. An unopened bag of Swedish fish, and the space where they found his body. The last thing he sent his friend Alex was a quote from a poem I wrote years ago about how difficult it was to love him. A poem that allowed both of us to shout the wrong words. I cannot edit out the wound I sang into us. But I promise I'm never gonna lose my voice. Thank you guys for letting me share that. I haven't read that in a long time. One thing, so that poem is about my oldest brother, Matt, and something that has been like just so at the forefront of my mind, he was very much, he passed away 4 years ago. He was a doomsday prepper, like nobody's business. And so he would be thriving right now, like truly living his best life. Like he was a doomsday prepper and he really liked to mock people. So like he would just be watching the like Whole Foods lines and just like cackling from his bunker. And it is just always on my mind because man, that guy likes to have a lot of canned goods. Anybody here fans of the cinematic masterpiece Survivor, the CBS show? Anybody? No? Masaki? No?
I remember that show. I wasn't a big fan, but I remembered it. Watched it.
Oh, no. Present tense, but we are in season 40, Winners at War, currently to this day, every Wednesday. All right. Season 40, Winners at War. Great. So this is gonna be my last poem, and tonight's Tuesday night. I hope I know what all of you guys will be doing Wednesday night, watching Survivor season 40, Winners at War. Also donating to your bail funds because we need to get people out of jail, y'all. For context, the host of the best television program ever, Survivor, is Jeff Probst, still with the dimples and the Botox in the year of our Lord, 2020. Hey, Jeff Probst, I want to be on your show. I want to lay in hammocks and say shit like, I'm not here to make friends. Because when I say things like that in my everyday life, people look at me like I am an unpleasant person to be around. Hey, Jeff Probst, I like the parts where you have auctions because that is like real life eBay, or perhaps it's just like a regular auction. I don't know. I don't really get out a whole lot. Hey, Jeff Probst, I do not like the part where you make them eat things like alive snakes. Let's please not do that in our season. Jeff, 2 years ago, a woman talked about her abuse at your campfire. And after the commercial, a man said he understood why her father had beaten her. Said he would have done it too. And you poured it into my living room, as easy as ratings. To be an abuse survivor is to be the worst kind of thirsty, surrounded by water that will kill you if you drink it, as everyone on the shoreline says, look at all that gorgeous ocean. When I left him, he rented a U-Haul and he moved me into my new house. We fell asleep on a twin mattress on the concrete floor, which is the softest name I have for drowning. What do you know about saving yourself and all its wretched gasping? What do you call womanhood if not endurance? The way that we withstand that which we did not believe withstandable and then put our own holy hands to work. Call me survivor. It is the ugliest triumph I own, but it's mine. It's mine. Thank you guys so much. Oh, what a blessing it was to be here tonight. Ooh. I wish I got to meet all of you in person and show you close-up magic, which is usually how I end my poetry shows. I'm a very uncomfortable person who feels much safer doing magic tricks. We'll have to do it another time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We'll have to try to get Brenna to Lansing sometime. Let's make it all possible. Swallowtail, amazing book. I love this book.
Yeah, but don't buy it if you bought like either of my other books. Like, just email me. What a blessing!
I bought them all.
But yeah, email me if you have my other books, and I'll send you like a version because it has a lot of overlap because of publishing nonsense. But yes, it exists in the world.
We will support you either way. Well, I want that link for the bail thing that you were talking about, and then I will share that out with everybody. Everybody, can we just unmute for a second and just cheer for Brenna and just thank her for it?
Yes.
I have nothing else.
I was a clapper and people got mad at me.
This is honestly a dream come true to have Brenna with us. This was like the one thing I looked forward to like all year. Like, I spammed the shit out of Brenna. You could ask her. Like, I was trying to get her to be with us because I was such a big fan. Thank you so much. I'll let Brenna close it down with the final words and whatever she wants to do.
Wow. I mean, just thank you all so much. Like, this was such a light in this week, and I am just so grateful that I got to hear all of you, and it's so great. I really, really hope to be able to see all of you again in closer quarters.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, amazing.
This has been so good. Just this whole thing. I needed this. I don't know if anybody else felt that, but I just needed some poetry space, you know?
Whoa.
What's up?
That's it, folks. I guess we'll call it a night then. Bye, everybody. Love you all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. New family. I love all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Masaki.
Till next time.
Thank you, Masaki. This was fun.
Thank you, Masaki.
Everyone else.
All right, I'm out.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, new friends. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
Love you guys.